So noting the presence of a quorum and the time is 7 p.m. I call the Boxford Finance Committee meeting to order, and we'll do a roll call vote because we have Joe on Zoom. So Joe, we'll start with you. You can say your name
Joe
and
Sullivan.
present.
Present.
Thank you.
John Greven, present.
Michelle Ryan, present.
Maria Nealon, present.
John Connor, present.
And Tony Newton, present. And also note we also have here Rajon Hudson, Assistant Town Administrator, and Honghua Lee, Finance Director, and Susan Back from Boxford News. So first thing is the minutes of September the 9th. Any comments or questions on the minutes? Gary's not going to be here, but he's going to be listening on the recording later to do the minutes. So have you any comments for Gary or objections or changes?
No.
I'll take a motion to approve the minutes.
So moved.
Second.
So Maria made a motion to approve, and John seconded. The roll call vote. Joe?
Aye.
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 Aye. Citizen concerns? I've heard nothing this week. Reserve fund transfers? Nothing. Rajon? FY26 budget. So I have sent out the template, Honghua, to you for the Q1 20 FY26 budget. So hopefully you're working on that soon, and maybe for our next meeting, which will be after town meeting, we maybe should have that, maybe, perhaps. And then the other update we had this afternoon, I haven't had a chance to look at this yet at all, was the free cash certification, which came in via Bob Stemple, I think.
Well, it came in from the state to the select board, and
Okay.
then Bob forwarded it to me and said, gee, this seems a little high.
Yeah.
So,
And what was it last?
right?
Remember what it was last year?
it was 3.2. It's never
Yeah.
been over $4 million. We've
Yeah.
never had free cash that high.
Yeah.
I guess I'd like to understand better, once you bring it up,
Yeah. I'll just
how
bring
it
up.
is that this is calculated, because I'm always blown away, because we budget so tightly. Clearly, there's a whole lot of other things going into it, but I'd like to understand what else is going into it. Or do we need to budget even tighter?
Right. Yeah.
You know, I
Yeah.
think we have to, because I think we tried to do that last year.
Yeah, so
You just pull it up.
I'm trying to put it up. Yeah.
is somebody saying, is it,
So I'm trying to put it up and get it in a format where I can get it onto Zoom. So let me do Zoom now.
There it is.
You see it on there?
Wait. Go to it's going to be on your page. It's going to be on whatever.
Not there, right? I can't see the document there. I opened it
Go
up.
into where it shows in your inbox. Because
Right.
it's going to be a screen in your internet, isn't it? So if you
Well,
go
no,
into,
no, because I've opened it up as a PDF document, but for some reason it's
there
not
it is,
showing
right
there.
there.
But it's there, yeah, but it's not on. It's not sharing on the Zoom
Hmm.
for some reason. I don't know why.
under-
Oh no, there it is. There it is. Yeah. Sorry.
Just need a second to catch up.
Yeah. Okay, so yeah, I haven't looked at this at all. So we start with $5.8 million, which is what we've got in the bank, presumably.
But that's the question I have, because if you
Yeah.
read the email that came in, it says the unaudited balance, right? So it's unaudited. But like, that's not the number we start with the year before, right?
No, so they have their own like balance sheet that they have it on the website. We download, they call it unaudited, so we have to fill out all these boxes for them, and that's what they use for these stuff that they have it on here. But for me, my understanding is last year they certified 3.2, and we use all those free cash, and then we have the remaining like 2.3 right
Yeah,
after all those
yeah.
one article. And then we have, I said, estimate like over $1 million from that, what we budgeted, what we expended, what we have left. So that's another million, it's like 3 million something.
So that's from the budget?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
And then the local receipts, we over collected around like $800,000. So that
Again,
come like,
from local receipts?
yeah, so that's like, come down to like 4 million. So I'm thinking that's how I think how they get it, but that's what they use to calculate it. But I come.
So we should see that on the dashboard, shouldn't we, for the Q4 dashboard?
You should see over receipt, the local receipt should be
Yeah,
high.
yeah, so let's go to
Yeah,
the
the local
Q4 dashboard. I'm going to go to the Q4 dashboard. Stop sharing
And so,
that.
and how do we calculate that? Is that what we calculate as new growth? Or like, where do we get that number when we budget?
That's the one we use I was on this chart to begin with. Today as we speak. I'll bring it up in a sec. I thought I had it.
Yeah.
But we've grossly under forecasted new growth for the last few years.
I was gonna say, because we'd had this problem in the past, like.
We're being
The
conservative.
year before, and I was like, well, maybe a lot of people bought new cars, I don't know, right?
Right.
Because I didn't know, we were being conservative, but it's 800,000 over again. It was 1 million over the year before.
So, yeah, so that's the income. We were, you're right. We're over by,
There it is.
yeah.
I don't know, that's just my thought, how they get that, but they do have their own formula when they do this stuff, the DOR, how they calculate, like, I don't know, but that's just my thought.
But so this shows state aid is over, local receipts are over, both of
Right.
those things, and then that's how we get to that number.
Yeah.
And real estate collection was over.
But then but the free cash we had, we also, where were we on free cash? Let's look at free cash again.
We started at 3.2-ish.
Reserves.
Yeah.
We ended up with 2.4 after town meeting.
Right.
Remember we had this discussion about the stuff that was taken out of town
Yeah.
meeting.
Yep.
Yeah,
So we're 2.4 to start with. Add in $1 million left in the budget.
yeah.
That brings you to 3.4.
Yeah, and add in another half million, 900,000, say, from receipts.
That's just
And
my
there you
thought.
are.
But you're still
Maybe
running
that's how
short
they
though,
get it, I
aren't you?
don't
'Cause
know. That's my
Yeah.
thought.
how do we get to 5? That 5 number is the number that's.
The top number being
Yeah.
5, because that also includes, doesn't that include other monies that are like being held but not encumbered? So if you look at the way that 5 point, and I don't really fully understand it, but like we have money in the bank that is put aside for warrant articles and that kind of thing. And I think the top number includes that, and then you end up subtracting those numbers out. And then, so there's other monies that we have that we don't necessarily count for, that are in the bank.
Because the warrant articles carry over year to year, because
Right.
if we don't use it, it just stays in the,
It just stays in the warrant article
Yeah.
until we bring it into free cash.
Yeah.
But you account for all the money, and then I sat with the very old accountant one day, and she tried to explain it to me. You start with all your money, you subtract out all your encumbered money, so all your warrant article monies get subtracted out. Then there's various other things that get subtracted out. Then you add back in, overage on your income, and then you're over on your budget.
And you also subtract out other liabilities you might have. Like
Right, the other liabilities.
unpaid taxes or something like
Yeah.
that.
But that jump is also, we're adding in all of the new encumbered monies that have incurred during the year, correct?
Encumbered being
For
from
what we
town
just
meeting.
approved for the last year.
Yes, and you subtract that out. So,
Yeah,
not
deduct-
budget
deducted.
monies, you're talking about warrant articles.
Yeah, I'm just trying to rationalize how we get, you were doing the nice logic of, we started with 3.2 last year, we spent it down, right? So I'm expecting a start number at the top of this sheet to be in the 2s or 1s, right? But you're telling me it's 5. It is 5. We looked at a
Yeah,
5
yeah,
number.
yeah.
So that's the logical jump I have a problem with.
Yeah, so
And I think we all do. I mean, that's why we're
So
like,
where does the $5 million number come from, I suppose is the question. Is that just what's in the bank?
Or is that what the state gives us? Is that what you said? Oh, well.
That's what they use from the report that we got from Vadar, to trial balance, and they use that number, and they
So
plug
there's
it in their
all the
formula.
money in the bank accounts, all the bank accounts.
Mm-hmm.
The bank account, the cash for the general fund is 7 million. Out of June 30th.
You've got 7 million dollars in
cash, the
in
cash. Yes, the
the
general
bank,
fund,
in
yes.
different banks.
Yeah, so but if it's a whole total of every fund, it's 14 million cash.
Okay.
But some of that's encumbered.
But most of it's, a lot of it's encumbered,
Yeah.
so yeah. So what's not encumbered is the 5 million.
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah. Then
We'll look at that.
with some adjustments down to the.
And you provide them, you upload information at the end of the year
Yeah.
to the state,
Yeah.
like a, I don't know, what is it, like a balance sheet?
Yeah, so
Okay.
they have, like I said, they have a spreadsheet, balance sheet that we fill in. We send the VEDAR report, the trial balance. And then on the website, the DOR website, there is like other, like Naomi has to do some of her part about that stuff. And then me and her gotta do reconcile the account receivable, all
Yep.
these stuff that they have. Like there's like 5 of them forms on the DOR that they go through all that. It's not just the balance sheet, they do like the whole checklist stuff. It's a lot of components that they do in order to like certify this. Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so we were millions, so for our part, we underestimated new growth
Significant.
or local receipts.
When you, that's a confusing term, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I think new growth about what we calculate in for the levy limit. So you mean receipts that we get from various, yeah.
Yes, if you go to that,
If you go back to the income side of
yes,
things,
you go
yeah.
back to revenues.
Yeah,
We underestimated
local receipts
state
significantly.
aid, but that came in late, so I'm not worried about underestimating that. But
Yeah.
local receipts, right, we underestimated, and property taxes we underestimated. That might be the new growth, right?
Yes, or it may just be people were paying more readily than they did the previous year. I don't know. I mean, how do we develop a budget for real estate tax? Is it all
It's
the?
always a guess.
Yeah,
It's always like, this is what it is this year. Maybe now we'll have a new assessor and we'll be able to get a more
yeah.
accurate guess. Because we just add 5% to it. We're like, this is what it is this year. We kind of add, and it's
Well-
for the average house and that.
Well, that number came from the town. Didn't come from us as finance committee, did it? That number 25,536 came from
So maybe it'll be,
the town.
so to me, we're doing something wrong. We're either over budgeting,
Yeah.
because we're taxing people for this money.
I'm not understanding where that 5 comes from.
Right, so we're
I would
we're
really-
over budgeting and we're underestimating revenue. So we need to get better at definitely the budgeting, because that's our lane. And then we need to kind of push on the revenue portion. Other than state aid, I don't think we can figure that out, because it's by the time the state, they don't vote their budget until sometime in
Well,
June.
plus how much is it to begin with?
It's not. Yeah, it's not a big
It's not a
number.
lot.
Yeah.
And then even the increase isn't a lot. It's 50 grand. It's not
Yeah.
that big of a deal, or whatever.
No, the big number is actually the local receipts, isn't it?
Yes.
That's a big difference.
It can't just be everyone buying a new car.
No, but that also includes like restaurant tax,
Right,
hotel
that's what I mean.
taxes, all that stuff.
Yeah.
But so that to me means we're just underestimating that number.
Mm-hmm.
You can't have 2 or 3 years of that number being significantly over. It
Right.
was significantly over the year before too.
Yeah, yeah.
So maybe we need to figure out, maybe we could talk to the assessor and see if we can get, I assume it's the assessor that gets that number.
Well, yeah, so that's the question. That's the question, right? Is where do these numbers at the beginning of the year come from? We just take them from the town. The town say,
Yeah.
"Here's the budget number." We don't really question it too much. Maybe we should more.
Well, because if you include that, if we over budgeted by $1 million and then we had 1.8 million in additional revenue, that, 800,000, we had 1.8 million in that we taxed to the taxpayers for the budget
Right.
that we shouldn't have,
Mm-hmm.
right? And that would have left a lot more in our levy.
Mm-hmm.
So, we tax based on this stuff, but we need to have a better understanding, like a real breakdown of what that $1 million was that was over budgeted.
So is that action here drilling into like the process for
I think
getting
on-
those numbers?
I
It
think-
sounds like we don't really have that.
I think it's drilling into the actual sort of line by line where the
Yeah, where's
differences
that
were
number come
from?
in the spending.
In the spending
Yeah.
and drilling into local receipts and where the town gets those
Yeah,
numbers.
Yeah.
I'm super
Right.
curious.
Yeah, because I think those are the two things that we have to,
Yeah.
we need to get closer on that number. We can't be that far off
We're
every year.
wrong. Yeah.
Would it be helpful for us to reach out to the state to see how they got that fund balance of the 5 million?
That would be great.
If we can
Because
get
because that's where we're both stumped on, where do we start with that?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
if we could ask them, why are we getting this wrong all the time? Quite frankly.
But regardless of that, I mean, I think we have the departments in and talking about their budgets for next year. Part of that conversation is going to have to be looking at last year's budget. and what was different from actual to budget.
Right. And we didn't have a really clear way of doing it. Last year was hard.
Yeah.
Like this year's budget that you're gonna give us, right? We're working on having budgeted numbers and actual numbers.
Right.
So it's easier to look at. I mean, I thought last year with ClearGov and having to pivot and all that stuff was a lot more difficult to look at, drill into those numbers as much as we should.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's even a budget Saturday topic, I think,
Yeah.
to do that.
And I know that we saved a significant amount of money on medical insurance.
Yeah.
Okay, we really need to understand that, because that's 2 years in a row that we've saved in the six figures. And we budget at the beginning of we go into the budget year with actual number of employees taking insurance and the rate they give us.
Yeah, and it's probably going to be a little bit more of a bigger savings this year because we had a few employees opt out, so they've taken the opt out stipend. So I meet with Maya next week after town meeting for the retirees, and then we meet with them again early spring about active employees. So hopefully I can get an update on where we are with our insurance as far as this current fiscal year, and then how we're going to be looking for this upcoming fiscal year.
And you don't get rates until early spring for budget?
For active employees, yeah.
But
Normally-
they give us estimates, don't they?
Yeah, they give us estimates, and then normally in January at the MMA meeting, that's when they'll give like an estimate of what the increase for this upcoming fiscal year is, a rough estimate, and then our rep normally meets with us around February to tell us what the percentage increase will be for the upcoming fiscal year.
Can you tell us specifically, though, one of the things that we help with is exactly how many people opt out? I mean, because really you would need to, I know it's about, for a family, we budget about $25,000 per family.
Yeah.
Did we really have that many families drop out? And if we did, that's great. We just want to really understand what that overage was in the insurance. Because this is the second year in a row we've done that.
Yeah, I'll have to check and see how many people opted out of family versus single plans.
And see if that,
Yeah, I think if we can get some data on that, Rajon, that'd be great, to just to understand that.
Yep.
You know, what we expected versus what we got, and what the impact is of that. Okay, so more work to be done there then. So, Hongma, you're going to do a little bit more digging on the actual calculation for free cash.
What happened?
Are you going to do some more digging on the calculation itself and how that works? Because make sure we understand what the process actually is for getting this $5 billion and down to where we are.
Yep.
That'd be helpful, I think. Okay.
but that is a good thing for us going into
Yeah.
the budget, at least.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, at
Use
least
it
it's
for
a
budget.
mistake in the right like in our favor in terms of having money and not being short, but it still influences decisions come budget Saturday, the articles, where's the money coming from, should we actually say yes, so
Right.
there's
Well,
like,
also it makes us look as though we're not really managing properly, right? We get that much money left over in free cash, way
Yeah.
beyond our
Means
guideline.
tax
We're
rates
trying to
too
keep
high.
it like 5% of the budget, and it's now.
And we keep trying to get to 5%.
Yeah.
It's a frustrating thing.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
we keep
yeah.
trying to spend the money, and we
Yeah.
can't put it into the budget. That's the problem. We
Yeah,
can't
yeah.
offset the budget with
Yeah.
it.
Yep.
I can reach out to Maya
Yeah.
about the insurance.
Okay. I realised I skipped an item, which was the treasurer, which we're in the process of recruiting a new treasurer right now. But one of the topics we discussed last time was the process for following up with people who have not paid their real estate tax bill. And I know it's probably premature now to discuss that, but I think that will be a topic when we get a treasurer on board. Mike has actually asked me to be part of the interview panel for the treasurer. So there'll be topic. That's something I'll be asking actually at the interview process.
And the assessor too.
And the assessor, yeah.
Do we have both those jobs advertised?
No, just the treasurer right now.
Yeah. So
But we have an assistant treasurer.
Yeah.
And
She
that
started-
assistant, she's a retired treasurer.
Yeah,
Okay.
she started with us Monday, yesterday.
But she's a retired treasurer?
Yes.
So that's good, because it gives us, it's somebody that obviously is well versed
Yeah.
in that department,
Yeah.
so.
yeah. So that topic stays on the agenda until we get a treasurer on board and we get it resolved, because we do need to have a process, I think, and understand what the process actually is. Okay, FY27 budget. So there's two things here really. One is the budget model. So I think I need to share again.
Did you send that out to us today? No.
I did not send this out, no.
Okay. I just want to be sure.
I'm a little bit wary about sending out these spreadsheets widely, to be honest, because of people getting hold of them and you know,
Yeah.
in the we don't want people sort of doing their own work, and I don't think outside.
I
of
think,
us.
and even if this is requested to be, you know, you need to do a protected version if you have to send it out. I agree.
Yeah. So let me just, thank you to John for cleaning this up and making it a better version. So this model is something which we can use at the tri-board meeting on October 22nd, and because we can use in our discussions about the budget. There's two tabs here. There's the A budget and then there's the B budget, which is the budget which would assume an override does not pass, and what would we need to get to in terms of budget with no override. And then what we can do on this is we can put in assumptions for...
Are you on the A budget right now?
I'm on the A budget
You
right
went
now.
back?
I went back, yeah.
Okay, just want to be sure.
Yeah, the tab at the bottom will tell you which one you're
Okay,
on.
yep, okay.
So all the green boxes here you can actually change. So we can model out what we expect to have in terms of budget growth rates and other inputs to the model, including the levy limit growth rate as well, which is part of our new growth calculation. And then what it tells you is how far off we are from the actual levy limit at the bottom here. I mean, in reality, if there's that much free cash available, we may not actually need to do an override next year.
But the problem is we don't want to use it for budget.
Right.
So that would have to be put primarily towards articles,
Yes. Yeah.
right? Because
So what is the thinking behind don't put it towards budget? Because that resets it for next year? Or?
well, because it sets the bottom line, right? So then next year, if we don't have growth, so let's say we put 500,000 towards the budget, and next year we don't have 500,000 in free cash, our budget number starts $500,000 lower, and it's that much of an increase. It's better to keep it. We've always gone by. It's better to kind of keep it steady instead of infusing cash into it, and then if the next year you don't have the cash, then all of a sudden your budget goes from steady to a huge spike because you got to make up that 500,000
Right.
to get to zero.
Got it. Okay.
So, but that's what we've always done.
But it's artificial in a way, isn't it? Because you still, I mean, the budget, what you spend is what you spend, wherever it's coming from.
Yeah. Well, which part is artificial? Not putting it in there?
Well, if you make up the number with free cash, does it really affect you for the following year?
Well, it does, because you have to get to zero. So if you have free cash, you can use it for your warrant articles, right? But
Those reset every year.
it does, right, you have to get to zero before you can start up. So if you do a $500,000 cash infusion this year, to get to zero, you have to do that increase for the 500,000, and that brings you to zero. And then from zero, you go up to 5%. So you have a much bigger increase. That's what happened with the school. They kept using their reserves until they didn't have enough reserves left. And then they had to slowly taper off the reserves, but it was a big hit to the town.
So you're saying
when they did
it affects the percentage increase as you
Yes.
calculate it,
that. Yes.
but it's still, the money's still going in there somehow. I mean, it looks worse.
Yeah.
But free cash is
Yeah.
already taxed money.
Yeah.
So it looks worse, but free cash is already taxed
Yeah.
money.
Yeah.
So in that year that you have to go from $500,000 deficit to zero and then up, you have to you're taxing that money again,
Yeah.
right? You didn't tax it the year before, so you have spikes in the tax rate. And I think it's incumbent on us to do both.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it looks, it adds volatility to what we communicate to the town.
So
Agreed.
yes, I understand it comes, but it's better, I think it's better, and historically, we've used it for articles.
Yeah.
So instead of taking on debt, if we can put it towards that, or, we have a fire station thing
Yeah.
coming up, maybe we use part of it
Yeah.
towards some of the stuff coming up for the fire station.
Yeah, and another number down here in this model. This is there's all the lines of detail here, but one line here is the ATM articles is down here.
Right,
which is a mixture of free cash and
Right.
raised appropriate.
But maybe it's not. Maybe this year we don't
Yeah,
raise
yeah,
appropriate, if it makes sense.
Yeah, so I don't know if you want to go into the detail on this right now. I think maybe you and I should meet on this, because
Yeah,
there's
yeah, yeah.
some, like the levy calculation, I think is incorrect, quite frankly, to be brutal.
Incorrect, and what does that do to you?
So,
Which line are you talking about?
yeah, go all the way to the bottom where you calculate it. So, yeah, so there's a version, I kind of cleaned this up a little bit, but so if you look at the levy limit base, go to C61, all right, now
Yeah.
go to D61.
Yeah,
All right, so that refers to C61 and then adds 2% and then adds, there's your 2% levy increase, right? It's supposed to refer to C60.
so C61 times
Should it?
D11.
Yeah, that's what you were assuming.
That's
for
the
levy.
growth rate, yeah.
Yeah.
So that's how, the levy limit grows by 4.3%.
Right.
That's
So-
the base.
First off, we should break that out
Right,
because your levy limit is going to be 2.5%.
right,
And then it's going to be whatever we estimate,
right.
right? But shouldn't that sell, and again, I don't want to get bogged down in the detail here, shouldn't row 61 go against,
You saying this one here?
yeah, shouldn't it?
No, it doesn't, because the excluded levy is a separate line that eventually will go away. It doesn't build into your levy limit. The levy limit is a
So
separate
we
line.
have no excluded debt next year.
No, because that's according to the numbers we got.
Okay.
And that may be right, that
Yeah,
may
yeah,
be
yeah,
right, because we
yeah.
haven't done that in a long time,
Yeah, yeah,
we've had
So
excluded debt.
maybe it's
Yeah.
semantics or just the way, the wording you're using, because it's basically whatever you end up for last year is used as your base for this year.
Correct.
Okay. And it,
But not including the excluded debt. That's a separate line altogether.
okay.
But there's independent and carries through independently throughout.
Okay. All right. I'll take another look at it then.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, we can go through it in more detail. But I mean, I think we need some way of predicting
Yeah.
where we stand.
And at the meeting, I mean,
And so does everybody understand the excluded debt and how that doesn't factor into the tax levy? Because we really should kind of explain that while we're in meetings live so that people, because we do have some new people. You guys understand what that means?
I'm trying to keep up a little bit, but
Okay.
So,
I could always use a refresh.
do you want to go?
Sure.
Sure.
So the levy limit is based on 2.5% a year plus new growth, and that
Right.
will grow in perpetuity by that amount, and whatever happens, it keeps growing.
Yep.
Excluded debt is something which is created for specific debt items. You say is excluded debt, like a fire station or something,
Sure.
and that stays on the books as another line, but. So the amount on the line is the amount of you're paying in interest or to support that debt during its course of its life. But once that's gone and finished, it goes away and drops off altogether. So
Okay.
But it also
it
drops off the levy.
doesn't build in perpetuity. It's a temporary exclusion basically.
Oh, yeah.
Although
Yeah.
And
So-
in the town, it has to say that we want to exclude this debt from the
Yeah.
levy limit.
So
That's their
that
thing.
takes a vote at town meeting and it takes a ballot vote because basically it's an override,
So we can get
Prop
into
2.5
some detail, but
override.
it
So
doesn't
you
say
have to
anything
do,
about what
so
you're
if we
talking
want to do
Okay.
a dump truck for $500,000,
Yeah, we
which
can go-
sounds
yeah.
crazy, but it's not. So let's say you want to buy that. You can either do debt under the levy, or we can say, we need this, we're going to vote it as a debt exclusion, get a vote at town meeting, get a vote at ballot, and then it goes into this excluded debt area, principal and interest. And it goes down, and the levy is not forever increased by $500,000.
Yeah, that makes
Whereas
perfect sense.
override, it's forever increased by whatever that
Yeah.
override amount is,
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
right? Just, okay.
Okay.
It's just better to do it as we're doing it, so then you keep, it's in context,
Totally.
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
A definition doesn't help if you don't have some
It was
context.
that last
around
part I
it.
forgot about, that it stays in there forever.
Right,
Yeah.
right, the 2.5
Okay.
stays in there.
Yeah, it's a really important note.
Yeah.
So, do you want to talk about how we're gonna present that at the meeting? What are we trying to get?
Let's talk about it. Yeah, sure.
I mean,
I mean,
we all know how well detailed spreadsheets present at large meetings.
Are we gonna present that
That's,
detailed
that was
spreadsheet at the large
sarcasm, in case you
meeting?
didn't detect it. So,
Wow,
yeah,
that, really? Can we make it, maybe could we?
I think we should have it accessible.
yes.
right?
Yeah.
But I think what we should have is the output of this model that says, look, if we, here's what we are, here's how close we are to the levy limit right now. So assuming normal growth, even with just normal growth, average growth, we need a debt, a levy limit override, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Johnny, you already had something like that, right? Little graph showing this.
Oh, you got that, yeah.
Yeah, it's on the
I mean,
first tab.
even if you took this information and put it into a chart onto a slide, you know what I mean?
Right.
Versus, there's so many numbers on this and
Yeah,
so many cells.
We can't.
Yeah,
It's,
yeah.
You know, make it clean,
Yeah.
and when you're happy.
Well,
little
no, we
graphs.
can just
No.
talk. We can just talk about it, and we can describe what it is, and, and we have it, and just show it very quickly, and say, well, yeah, we have this model, and we're not going to go
We
through
can
it.
show the model, but I think you show the model and then you go to the output, and the output
Yeah,
is a
here's the
nice clean
summary.
chart that has 6
Yeah.
years, or you could do 7
Mhm.
years worth of
5 years.
5 years. I think 5 years. And when you get beyond 5 years, it's too hard.
We're guessing to begin with, 5 years is.
Yeah, you're already guessing 5 years out.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, this is what I put together with Kristen for the sort of like agenda for what we want to talk about. I mean,
This is for both of you guys.
this is for the
Okay.
October 22nd meeting. So they'd asked us for these 3 bullet points. So, I mean, and to be honest, I'm not totally sure what the objective of this meeting actually is on the 22nd.
The objective is perception. Look at us working really hard to get everyone in the same room.
We've had 2 pre-meetings on this
I
meeting.
know, and I still can't quite get to what the objective of the meeting is, but I think it's to sort of share our views and our situations and what our constraints are.
I think we should be, look, here's the numbers.
Yeah.
If we raise it by this much, here's what's going to happen to the tax rate. We
Yeah.
raise it by this much, here's what's going to happen to the tax rate.
Yeah. So from our point of view, I think we do want to sort of say, we want to sort of give the limits of what we can do,
Right.
basically.
Joe has his hand up.
Which it's not sharing. Sorry.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly. Thanks.
Sorry, let me share this. Somebody's not sharing yet. Share.
I can guess what it says.
You were right there. You had it. Go back up.
Joint meeting. No.
No, stop for a second.
Left.
Go into the middle.
That one there?
No,
No.
go into the middle of the 3
Uh,
right there. There it is.
No, they're the budget guidelines. That's not, this is the one I'm showing now. This one over here. It says box for agenda. You can see that, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, thanks.
So, so for us, I think it's setting long-term budget constraints. You know, what can we afford, basically, in the town? And I think, another principle I think we should be sticking to is we really want a consistent approach between the town and the school. So, sort of share the pain, if you like. It's probably not reasonable for us to increase our budget if the school is being decreased, or vice versa. We should try to, be even in terms of how we deal with that. That's my opinion.
I don't disagree with that, but the problem is because the assessment, the school budget, and where it goes doesn't necessarily always match the assessment because it includes enrollment and various other things.
So that's right.
So then we just gotta keep that in
we should look
mind.
at the school budget and the town budget as being the ones we should look at, not the assessment necessarily, because the assessment is an inflated number because of the enrollment changes.
Okay, you have to look at both.
For what? Yeah, sure. But I mean,
Because it's the assessment that affects the taxpayers.
Yeah, that's what
It
we have
is
to pay.
the budget.
yeah,
I mean, I understand that we have to make sure the budget's not wildly,
yeah.
but it's the assessment we have to look at, because it doesn't matter what the budget is if the taxpayers can't afford the assessment, because it's a 13 or 14% assessment. It needs to be
Right.
sustainable.
Yeah.
I'd like to see, I know you and Kristen talked about this, but consistent / sustainable. Like, we need to have a sustainable, their budget needs to be sustainable for the towns, and right now it's not.
Yeah.
And so how do we get there?
Well, that's the bottom. That's the bottom here, isn't it? The bottom of this slide here. Right? So going down this. So our situation is, we have this operation override coming up. I think.
Maybe.
Maybe. We're developing a financial model to actually understand that, so we can talk about that. And we're going to need to develop, I think, A and B budgets,
Definitely.
so that we
But
can.
to Maria's point, I mean, I honestly think that should be the first, what is our goal? our goal is to establish a sustainable budget, is it not?
For both the town and the school.
Right? Isn't that what gets us
Yeah,
in
yeah,
the most
yeah.
trouble, is this incredible volatility that we've dealt with for the past few years? That's what gets you in the trouble.
Well, that's a different way of saying this then, right?
Yes, it's a more direct.
And it's budgets plural because it's the town and the,
Yeah.
um,
It's just easier for us to control the town than the school,
Yes.
but yes, it has to be a sustainable budget.
yeah, okay. And I think some of the questions that we might have are, what's the impact of these various, yes or no votes on the override, both the school and the town, and what's the long-term budget projection for for the school district? That's what that's what we don't know, right?
We should have a 5-year projection. We've been
Yeah.
years asking for that.
And then beyond that, what's the impact of restructuring, which is going on right now, and what's the 10-year projection for enrollment assessment? Maybe 10 years is too much, but
They should be able to do, they can, we used to get a 10-year, and there was always the caveat when I was in school committee, is after 5 years, because you can count the kids that were born last year, so
Right.
you kind of know that, right? And then after 5 years, it gets a little bit more of guesswork, but we should be able to get that. They used to get that.
But we've had this consistent growth in Boxborough last few years. That can't go on indefinitely, right? Surely.
I would not think, but I think there's a lot of factors that go into it. One
Right.
of it is there's not a lot of land that's going to get built out, so we don't have a lot of, but Acton does have a ton of growth going on. But our houses aren't turning over.
Well, Acton is getting more dense, though, isn't it?
It is, and they have they have the whole MBTA thing that's going down by Market
Yeah,
Street,
yeah.
down by the
But
station.
even without that, because they've got town sewer and town water, they can knock down a house and they can build 4 townhouses in the same space.
And they allow them to do that. We don't allow
Yeah,
people
well,
to do that. in
but what I
Boxborough,
mean
yeah.
is that must increase the density of Acton over time if they're doing that.
And for some reason, they still are projecting their enrollment to go down. They continue to go down.
Yeah.
I don't get that.
We see the data. The data's in the consultant report,
Mhm.
right? And we've talked about this. Acton's going to Boxborough's going to get older. It's actually going to get larger, but it's going to have less kids. Remember that theory?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that's the
And our houses
projection.
aren't
Do we
turning
trust
over,
it?
you know?
So this is, if you're
Yeah.
asking for 10 years, here's one theory that's going to happen. I don't know how true
yeah,
it is.
yeah.
I mean, and they have, Acton's got 200 apartments coming online this year in one area on 62, and they've got another hundreds of apartments coming online by the South Station. They haven't started building yet, but they designated that the MBTA zone. So, I mean, they clearly have more areas to build than we do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even our MBTA is only,
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm questioning this projection of continued increased growth for Boxborough and not for Acton. At some point, it's got to plateau at least, I think.
But I agree with you. Then what? Are you going to put a number to the spreadsheet?
Well, no, but we can't go on with the school budget, the assessment being twice the school budget every year.
because what happens is, so right now, Acton's doing this and we're doing this.
Yes.
So our assessment's going up.
I understand.
But for many years, it was the opposite, and when it was the opposite, there was one year we had a 0 assessment, or like a 0.5% increase, because we had regionalized,
Right.
all sorts of things were happening at the same time, and we had no new growth at all with kids. I mean, we weren't filling the kindergarten classes as quickly as we were
Right.
graduating a lot more. So that's one of the reasons we went 20 years without an override.
No.
Right, because we had really, really small assessments, and it used to send Acton over the edge because they thought we weren't paying our fair share. It's kind of the same as it is now. We've got these huge assessments, they don't, and everyone's like, well, Acton's getting a free ride. Well, they're not. They just have less students, so it all, ebbs and flows.
So yeah, so
But then what? You're right. Then what? What does that do?
Yeah, so I think anything beyond 5 years is...
sure,
It's a
sure. But
guess.
these are topics that we need to explore more, I think,
We should certainly.
with the school committee and with Acton.
But how are we going to discuss the override with them? Because is it really any of their, should that be any of the discussion with them?
Only if,
Well, where it fails, it would be an issue. Yeah.
I think it needs to be a point of fact for them, but it's not really a discussion because we're two different towns. They're not gonna have an override this year, we are. They may have an override next year, and hopefully if we have an override this year, we do it in a way that we don't need an override for the next number of years, right?
Yeah.
Operationally. So I think it's
Okay.
just a point of interest, but I don't think it's much more than that.
But if we say we're having an override, doesn't that kind of open up the window for them a little bit?
It kind of like pressures the conversation in a certain direction.
It kind of takes the pressure off of them almost.
Yeah.
Well,
So like we know that's an option. But in
But
this
in-
context, is it worth?
Yeah, but I mean, doesn't that presume taking the pressure off of them that we think it's going to pass? I mean, ideally it does, but I mean, to me, saying we have an override is more of a warning flag. But I hear what you're saying.
You know, you know, because we're moving the ceiling higher, right? So, no?
yeah, I think it does take the pressure off if we say we're gonna do an override for sure. But at the same time, we have to pass,
Susan, I
can
think
you
your
mute
speaker's
yourself?
on.
Go to
Just
the,
Turn your volume
Phil.
down.
go to your microphone, bring up your options and go to no auto. And that should do it. I lost my train of thought. You said you asked a
We're
question.
talking about overrides.
No, I know.
Overrides, and if
Pressure.
we have an
Pressure
override, that's the school's like, oh, perfect, more opportunity.
Well, yes,
Hmm.
and that assumes
I
that,
mean, it's a very cynical loop for all the school people
No,
watching,
I
and I
understand.
apologize, but it is what it is.
I don't apologize. I do think that that's, it is part of the problem.
It's the-
They
you know.
gave a big warning and they think that, you guys need an override. The problem is, we don't even really have real numbers. We have the projections, but now we have the new, right? We haven't even come up with a point of view yet. I'm not 100% sure I'm supporting override, which may mean I will vote against the budget A if I don't support an override. And that
Yeah,
depends on, where the school is. The school just said, we're doing 11 to 13%, period. Figure it out. Again, they did that 2 years ago to us. They're doing it again now. I'm not sure I want to figure it out. I want them to figure it out. We've asked you for a more sustainable budget. You haven't gotten there yet. You've had 2 years. And now you're back again looking for an 11 to 13%. We have them in that chart as 10%.
That's what I heard.
And Liz
That's
says
what-
it's too low.
Yeah, okay.
So, I think that
Does
needs
this
to be-
factor in the new teachers agreement?
No. Oh, I don't know. I don't.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's
So they won't tell you whether it does or not because you don't want it to be budgeted because you don't want to broadcast that. The new teachers agreement is definitely different than when we do our unions, right? We do our first year as a warrant article and then we budget the last 2 years. Teachers agreements aren't like that. They get built into the budget. I don't know if it does. We'd have to ask them if that 10 to 13%. That's the thing that, when I say I'm not going to may not support an override, I want to know what that teacher's contract's going to look like. Everybody needs to come to the table. We're in
Yeah.
tough times.
Yeah.
And
You
I
know,
think
and
they're
so-
starting negotiations this fiscal year. So
Say again?
they're starting negotiations this
They're
fiscal
starting in
year.
2
so
weeks.
we won't really know anything about that probably till spring as far as
But,
what the contract's going to cost. For
so we have to ask Liz, I guess, if that is built into that 10 to 13% number. We could find that out at that meeting. That could be one of the things we ask.
So anyway, so that's the general flow of the conversation for the October 22nd meeting.
Are you going to use that PowerPoint?
Yeah,
Right, there was a typo. 10-year enrollment, isn't enrollment 2 L's?
I always get this wrong.
I
think-
know, I think it's a British thing. It's 2
But my
L's,
spell
right?
check, doesn't
it's
pick
like
it up.
canceled.
But you've got
Yeah,
British.
it's
Well,
2 L's.
Spell
yeah.
check thinks it's fine.
I know, but your spell check is British.
No,
The rest of us,
This is an American laptop.
you're presenting this
No.
to a bunch of Americans and they say that's a typo.
There you go.
I think, right? Am I okay?
No, it's 2 L's. You're right.
I'm
Okay,
pretty sure.
all right.
I'm like,
I think you can
"That's
spell it
like-
either way, actually.
Yeah.
It'll still get the point. It'll still get the
Timothy,
point
what
across.
what is the 10-year projection?
Now you're really nitpicking.
Yeah, I didn't notice that. I just
Should there
noticed
be a
that.
hyphen after 10?
It's probably what the double lines for.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Then the other thing that I put together was starting to think about budget guidelines. Very preliminary, and the background is that we have this average increase in levy limit of 4.3%, levy 5.5%. Based on the model, it looks like we need an override, and then some budget guidelines. Let's say very draft. So A and B budgets. A budget being about 5.5%, including school district. I think we should have no new hires next year or additional hours.
I think we should have no new hires even if we don't have an override.
I think we should minimise our warrant articles.
Well,
Although now we've got
free
cash, maybe we don't need to do it. Yeah.
So,
right,
I mean, I think
maybe it's
movements.
optimised warrant articles. Minimal ways to appropriate. Warrant
Right,
articles.
right. We might have to just rephrase that somehow.
Yeah. And high scrutiny on capital items. And then the B budget, I think, is less than 2% based on the quick look at the model that we've done, which would be very, very painful, I think.
So, and that will be split between the two.
Yeah.
And it's going to be based on the percentage of budget? It's not 50-50.
I think that's based on percentage of budget, I think.
Percent of budget.
Yeah,
So if the
60-40,
school's about,
roughly.
roughly
Yeah.
60-40.
Yeah.
Which means that B budget should include, Rajan, when you guys start doing that should include what your list of cuts would look like so that we can present that, or you'll have that ready. Because we need to know what that list of cuts looks like.
Because because understanding it's not going to be even across the board, because a lot of things we can't cut. Pensions and stuff like that, and healthcare.
So where do those reductions come from for your?
And it's people. It's people.
It's people.
Yeah.
But where are those people? So that people understand if there's a failed override, this is where it's coming from. That needs to be out front.
So I talked to Mike about whether ClearGov would give us an option to do two budgets. He doesn't think it does, right?
I tested, so I created like another FY27 budget, so there's 2 in there right now.
Oh, really? Okay.
So we're gonna try to test it out, like we'll tell the department head, I label it A and B.
Yeah.
So they can like enter both of them in there so we can see it. So
Okay.
that's our goal, is to talk at the department and say, hey, I created this, so they
Yeah.
can go in and enter both of them.
Yeah.
Hopefully it works.
Yeah. Okay. Good.
And we may not need to defer all warrant articles because we have free cash.
Yeah. Maybe that's true. Yeah. So maybe we can rephrase that a bit as well. So this is again, preliminary, thinking.
But then,
Is there anything else we should include in the guidelines if we want to send this out to, the town?
to be clear, no new hires and no additional hours includes no salary not COLA adjustments, no salary adjustments. For instance,
Because we have to do
Maria
COLA, right?
is making this much money, but should be making this much money, so we want to do a salary adjustment. So we need to include that in there because it's not just hires and hours; it's also salary adjustments,
But COLA we have
excluding
to do, right?
COLA. Although in the past
Yeah.
we've not done the COLA.
Really?
Yes,
Okay.
in the override year, and I think that in the B budget, I think you would see that we couldn't do a COLA other than contracted, but that's up to the administration.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's the initial? Oh, I'm sorry.
What was that, John?
I was just wondering what the asterisk was.
Well, yeah, based on estimates based on the model, right? So I mean, I think if we change the model, I mean, we look at the model and we could say, well, there's more free cash, or we have less warrant articles, maybe a number changes, but that's where we are right now. I
I think where the number might change is new growth, right? If we know.
New growth could change,
How do
yeah.
maybe we need to adjust that up a little bit, because we were $800,000 over again. The year before we were,
Well, new growth,
It's-
it means in levy limit terms, you mean? I don't know what new growth was last year in terms of levy limit.
it was low again last year. I think we did 3% for new growth.
We estimated 3%.
We estimated 3%. I think that was low.
I don't know, but how do you know it's low? I mean,
Well,
Where's-
because,
where's
well,
the
we
number?
need to figure out why we're 800,000 over in local receipts. That's part of the new growth. The real estate was over and the
Is local receipts part of new growth?
Yeah,
Yes.
because it would be any kind of excise tax, it would be personal tax, so if we have a new building,
Yep.
you know, what are the buildings being renovated? So let's say Campanelli
Improvements.
actually gets passed by the
Yeah.
planning board, and their
Okay.
equipments and stuff, that's personal property, that could be
Okay.
part of it.
And just be careful, if you're looking at DLS, it's so weird. DLS, when you ask for what the growth was last year, it only gives you all of what we put in for the budget.
Right.
So you have to be very careful with it. It's the only column that comes up as budgeted, not actual, so.
And we
it's just-
should be able to find out, we have an assessor, very experienced assessor, who
Yeah.
should be able to spit out where these increases came from. We should be able to tell. Did we just underestimate the growth, the local receipts, or was there legitimately new growth? That and the real estate. The real estate was 103% of what we so 3% over budget. But that's a huge number, so.
Okay, so we need to know what was the new growth in FY25, basically actual new growth.
Yeah, and where did we go wrong with
Yeah,
it?
where's it coming from and
Yeah.
how does it differ
So
from our estimate?
you want a response from our assessor on that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Can you do that, Rachel?
Yeah, I can reach out to him.
Okay, thanks. Anything else we should include in here?
It's not equal paying, it's gonna be percentage paying by budget.
'Cause-
General principles, equal paying town
Proportionate.
versus, it's proportionate to the budget. Town versus ABRST.
Well, what I mean is, if the school budget, if the town budget is going up by 2%, the school budget should be limited to 2%.
Okay. Okay, I'm sorry, budget, this is the budget, not the override, yes, okay.
Yeah.
Yep, that makes sense.
That wouldn't necessarily mean that the assessment would be the same as 2%. Because the assessment is
But
calculated.
see, you keep doing that, that's the only thing we care about.
So
We care about the
yeah,
assessment.
no, but then,
We don't care about
but then you're limiting the school to 1%.
Then too bad for the school, we care about the assessment,
We
have
also
people-
care about the school, actually.
I understand, but we did that 2 years ago. We need to
Yeah.
know where we're gonna cut if the budget fails, right? An override fails, and what is a reasonable B budget. So if we need an override, then they're gonna have to go and work for an override. But we can't say that it's less than 2%. I mean, that's just not, I don't know how you do that. I mean, I know we care about the school, but we also care about the people living in town that don't have kids in the schools.
Yeah.
So it's not, what you're saying is not equal paying. What you're saying
Well,
is,
I think it's equal paying if the school is limited to 2% and we're limited to 2%, that is equal paying. If the school's limited to 1%, that is disproportionate paying on the school, actually.
but I don't agree, because what we're looking at is an assessment. And that's what we're dealing with. That is what affects our bottom line budget. So for me, and this is this is part of the reason I'm not getting behind we need an override, because it needs to be, that's the part where it needs to be sustainable. And I'm sorry, I understand that, I don't expect it to be 2.5%. I don't expect the assessment to be 2.5%. That doesn't work because our enrollment is over that, right? But I don't expect our assessment to be 10% in that scenario. I don't know. We have to look at it both ways. It's not just about the bottom line budget for the school. It's about our assessment and how that affects our numbers.
Okay, I think we may disagree on that one.
I have no doubt we disagree. We disagreed 2 years ago. We'll continue to disagree.
Yeah.
But
What do others think?
I tend to be in your camp, unfortunately. I'm still wrapping my head around some of these concepts, but thinking about the override and thinking about percentage of pain shared across both, it seems like there's a lot of pressure coming from the school district specifically, and that impact on the budget. Of course, I have my own bias. I don't have children in the school district, so I'm only looking at my perspective, but trying to empathize with the other. I don't think it's fair to squeeze all of the other services that the town provides for the sake of one that just so happens to be very publicly popular, right? Like AB School District is often touted as, oh my gosh, it's one of the best in the state, one of the best in the nation, we should be supporting it, X, Y, and Z, but I don't know. I'm not convinced. I'm in the need more information camp, but I also tend to be very conservative, and I don't like being pressured one way or the other without a lot of data kind of supporting the need for, you know,
Yeah.
8 to 10 to 12%.
Same, and I'm kind of on your side, but at the same time, we need to understand how the proportion of students has changed, right? So if we
Yeah.
find out that we've got 20% more kids this year than last, that's gonna change our calculation.
We need, yeah,
Right,
it's
so we
like we
can't
need
do
to
it
figure out
blindly.
what the zero increase with the number of,
Exactly.
with enrollment,
Right.
or
What
whatever.
is the
that-
cost per head
Right.
to educate our child?
So that's,
And I'm open to like if that's the case, that's the case. Like, okay, great. But if it includes all of these other things in this package of money that we're asking,
But
or
you're
that
s-
they're asking for, that's,
but you're saying the same as me then in that case. You're saying if there were no increase in enrolment in Boxborough, you'd be okay with the number being the same for each budget.
No, what I'm saying is, and this is where it becomes complicated. Their operating budget is some ridiculous, $120 million, okay?
Right, yeah.
And that's fine, if we're in an override situation, their growth can't be more than, you know, whatever. I'm saying our assessment is what affects our bottom line. We need to better understand the numbers that go into the assessment, because we can't say the assessment can't be more than 2%, because that doesn't pay for our share of the students. But that said, the assessment can't be 13%. So where does that number, and I don't know, I've never gotten a straight answer from anybody. No one's ever been able to provide us with anything. You know, we spent hours,
So you're
2
saying the
years-
model
Yeah,
is opaque?
Don't you think?
well,
I mean,
Oh,
that's
no,
what
I
I
didn't.
mean by I need more info.
I mean,
Didn't you negotiate the model?
no.
Well, you know what, and it was, the thing is,
Yeah.
there's not a lot of different options and formulas, right?
Wait. So you're talking about just the rolling average model? That's,
No, I'm talking.
that's pretty clear.
No, what I'm talking about, and I did negotiate that, I'm talking about the assessment.
Right.
Right.
So they have sent us spreadsheets that go down, and then there's the rolling average, and there's the 80%, 20% slice.
Not quite that.
Yeah, exactly. What is unclear about that?
It's clear, but we need to, it's not sustainable. It's not
That's a
sustainable.
different point.
And that goes back to the operating budget and the increase on that. So, you know, and that's the problem. The assessment at a 3, or, I don't know what their increase is, to get us to a 13% assessment or a 10% assessment, what is that increase in the budget?
Yeah. That's
That's unsustainable.
We need to understand that.
And that's the disconnect. That's
Yeah.
what's difficult.
Okay.
Yeah.
But to account for the student population variation, I think that maybe the way to approach it is if there's a zero change in the student population, I'll accept this percent,
Yeah.
period.
And I think we're saying the same thing actually.
Right.
Yeah.
Because we can't ask them to educate 50% more kids
No.
for the same
No.
price.
Yeah.
But we have to.
That's an
right.
exaggeration, but you know what I'm getting at.
But the 13% doesn't include a 50% increase. That's the problem.
Correct,
Yeah.
which is
Right.
what gets back to we need to know how much variation there is, and really it doesn't matter. You need to tell us what if we're the same size as last year, how much is your increase?
Right.
Yeah.
And then work from there. Because they're not going to be the same, but we'll have a better understanding.
Yeah.
We-
It's a theoretical number.
So,
And then
sorry, I just
No,
have a question.
no, don't.
So the line by line that you were talking about, is that, what kind of granularity, is me getting up to speed, do we have on like an operating budget versus are we just taking like
So,
a lump sum and saying like yes or no, like how much
no, we have a line by line.
conversation is there there?
there is an electronic version
Yeah,
of line
there's
by
a
line, but
hyper-
it's hundreds of line
Yeah.
items.
And all of that's proportional to student population? Or
No.
are there other like just
Student-
fat operating chunks? Like we use this software and it's whatever the population is, it's the same cost every year. Like how discrete is the information we get?
I mean, it's detailed, but you got to dig through and get it.
Yeah.
Are you asking
There are
what is
fixed,
proportionate?
There are
Yeah.
fixed costs in there, and there are variable costs. Which are
Yeah.
student costs.
And that's already cut out. Like we have that level of granularity, so we can look at that and understand it. Or
I mean, in reality, they're all fixed costs, aren't they? Because if one more student going to AB is not going to increase the cost of running that classroom until you get to the point where you have to have a new classroom
yeah,
and a new teacher.
Right.
So
Right.
in a way, they're all fixed costs in the sense that you set a school up, you're paying X number of teachers, X number of staff. the buildings, the programs they're all set up for a school population of X hundred kids. And until it grows beyond a certain point, you don't have to add another teacher.
And the same thing is on the other side is we hear a lot of, well, the population's gone down by X. Let's say it's 20%, but it goes down by, in elementary school, it goes down by 2 kids in the first grade, 3 kids in the second grade. So you can't eliminate a first grade class. You can't eliminate. So even though it goes down, you can't just say we're going to eliminate it. And just because it goes up, you can't just add classrooms because you may not need to because it's sprinkled throughout the school.
Yeah.
That's the problem with the school budget.
Yeah,
it's huge.
It's complex.
It's complex. And it's frustrating for me because we went through this 2 years ago, and I just don't feel like they've done a lot to get us to where, I know they're starting now. They
There's a
should have
meeting
started.
going on right now.
I understand.
Yeah, you're in a focus group.
Well, you know what?
Mine too.
There's
Can't wait.
only room for 4 of us in the focus group, and we filled it. I filled the last slot tonight,
Yeah.
which I asked that question. I don't understand.
I hope you're in mine. That would be awesome.
You, me, Tony, and Kristen.
Are you serious?
Yeah, we're doing the Friday morning one.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh,
Because I couldn't
There-
do that evening one.
Did everyone get that invitation to the focus group, buddy? Did you?
I think
So there was
Yeah.
one that was set for the evening of the
poor
joint meeting.
Kristen.
Yeah.
At 5:30.
Which is crazy.
Which is crazy. So I
Yeah,
say
yeah,
to
yeah.
Adam, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Like, we're already spending 2 hours with you people. We
Yeah.
don't need more school stuff before that. So they did a second one. But they said, if you read Julie's email, which is why I responded to Adam today, it says, based on the regional agreement, there are a limited number of seats. I don't know what that means.
What does it mean?
What does it mean?
It means, again, back to your
We only
agreement.
get 4 slots?
If you want to
And we're
focus,
done.
surely if you're running a focus group, you want as many as possible.
Well, Adam's response
But you
was...
want proportionate input.
Yeah.
We're
So
a
that's-
regional school
So
system.
literally, there's 3 FinCom members and a select board member on that, and if they, I'm not sure if they still have, right, they're all full.
yeah, that's you guys.
That's crazy.
And I think the other opportunity for Boxborough elected is in conflict with a tri-board meeting.
Well,
It's just-
it's in the hour
like
before that, and I
before
just
it,
was
yeah.
like,
It's right- no.
I'm like, I can't, yeah, that's a lot.
That's a lot. I think my final question for this whole topic is like, are we getting granularity on this before?
Not as much as you're gonna want.
Okay.
Well, to be fair,
Or like can
they have a
we,
lot
if
of
I
meetings.
wanna
There's a
sit
lot of
down and,
meetings
like-
going on. They have like a budget Saturday, don't they? Meeting as well.
And you get
I
stuff
think there's,
electronic.
I think there's plenty of granularity.
Yeah.
We're not getting adherence to our recommendations. Or we don't get the acknowledgement that they understand that the town is financially restrained.
They don't seem
constrained.
to. Yeah, they don't seem to have that as an objective of how do we bring the costs down.
Yeah, I think that's disappointing to me because then let's say we get to an override and it doesn't go through and then it's like, oh well, like,
Yeah,
like
it's
then it's just
nuclear
a
then.
mass scramble on both ends to see, and both parties look villainized, right? Like, oh, you didn't have it together, and then like the town isn't supporting the school, and, it becomes a whole problem. So that's why I keep asking. I'm
But
just
that's
like,
why
I
we
don't-
need
And you
to
will
be-
get information, they give us the information, right, like electronically.
Yeah.
You can spend hours going down a rabbit hole with the school budget.
I fear I might.
Yes, and that would be great, if you understood it, you could tell the rest of us.
Yeah.
Could you do an executive summary for us?
I-
That we understand?
No.
Only
I
kidding.
don't know about
Only
that.
kidding,
but-
but there is information, you will be able to get into every line item,
Yeah.
but it is, it's thick.
Yeah, I think that's my anxiety. That's like kind of what I want to close on. It's like,
But
I
part
don't-
of this restructuring, I think, I'm hoping it's going to be more like this idea that, you've got fixed costs of schools and stuff. If you reorganise the schools and have maybe certain grades in certain schools or something like that, does that make it more efficient in terms of
Right.
the number of people you've got
Right.
and having a better sort of classroom mix? And a lot of these sort of specialists they have could be more focused on certain schools and stuff like that. Is
Sure.
I think what we're looking for actually as a means of
like a little bit more creative.
a bit more
instead of just
creative,
like,
yeah,
oh,
rather than just
cut
saying, well, we've got
10
five,
teachers
we've
or
got 5
whatever.
elementary schools, and
Yeah.
they're all a cookie cutter of the other one. I mean, they've all got all these specialists that are duplicated across all these schools.
Yeah.
So there must be a way of actually consolidating somehow some of those
And
functions.
that's what they're looking at.
Yeah.
And that makes
Yeah.
sense, because they've
Yeah.
been, the schools have been structured the same way since my daughters went to school at Blanchard, and they went to school at Blanchard 20 years ago. So it's been, you know, there's not been a lot of change in that, other than we regionalized.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's been, and that's one of the issues is, you know, year over year, we put, you know, we add 5%, we add 4%, we add this, we just keep adding on to a budget, and education has changed in 20 years.
Yeah, and there's lots more specialists now involved
Yeah.
in the schools. You know,
Yeah, like
support-
education's completely
teachers,
different.
yeah, a lot
Math
more
is
support,
different.
a lot more special ed. You know, so there's all sorts
Yeah.
of factors that are building onto that. So how can you make that more efficient is the question. I
I mean, I don't mean to belabor the point. I'm just like, as generally new to FinCom in this whole process, I'm a little concerned that both parties aren't marching in the same direction on this one.
Haven't been for 20 years, so.
So
Well,
I see it heading towards like a really uncomfortable vote potentially.
well, you know, that's
We'll see.
partly why we're meeting on the 22nd, actually.
Yeah.
We'll try to sort of get our voice heard
Yeah,
in this.
fair.
Yeah. Okay, I think we've maybe done it one to death.
Okay, so this is what you're presenting, right? This is what you're presenting. at the-
That's
No, this is not the prison, right? This is some other thing, right?
this is
Is
Budget
the
guidelines.
tri-board?
this is
Oh, this is guidelines.
This is
I'm
the
sorry,
budget guidelines, yeah, yeah.
Okay, so this is, are we gonna send this out to, like, so in the past, we've done a point of view where the FinCom has sent it out directly to department heads?
have we?
Yes, so that was probably the year before you came on. We did a memo from the FinCom, and it went out to the town administrator, the accountant, and all the department heads directly. Then, the year I was chair, the first year I was chair, it was the interim town administrator, and he said, can I incorporate it into my memo? So he did it, didn't do it properly, didn't do what we wanted. And then Mike sent it out last year as part of his guidance to his department heads. I think that works out better. 'Cause
Yeah,
it's
I'm
one
prepared to
voice.
trust Rajon and Michael to send out the.
Based on, this is, and
Based on
I
this.
think Mike said something like FinCom's perspective is, you know, he did his 2 paragraphs and said,
Yeah.
FinCom.
Yeah.
We don't want you altering this, but if you said this is a FinCom perspective within your own memo, I mean.
I think that's better, because
Yeah, yeah,
then we're
yeah.
sending it out together,
Yeah,
so,
so maybe I should change this and just call this FinCom guidelines.
yes.
So what is driving the 2 points that you picked, though? You picked 5.5 and you picked 2%,
The model.
the model. So what happens at 5.5 and 2?
5.5 we need an override, and 2 we
Okay.
don't.
Okay,
5.5 is really status
But-
quo, right? It's like we're continuing on the same pattern, same sort of growth pattern. Assuming the same town growth, you know, it was the same as we've had in previous years.
so you may want to, just a thought, you may want to explain why we're choosing these as such. I don't know if we're going
Okay,
to start
that-
to communicate these.
Yeah, because the thing is, somebody may say, why aren't you doing 2.5% of budget, because it's a 2.5, proper 2.5 override, right? But we don't need an override at 2%. Just because they say we can go up 2.5% doesn't mean we can,
Right.
for various other reasons.
Yeah.
So just explain that. I think you just do A budget, override budget, and then B budget, no override.
Yep.
I think you just add that, right?
Just have a little typo there. no?
Yeah, yeah. Anything else we should change in that?
Proportional pain, not equal.
Proportional pain. What does that really mean, though?
Because, I don't know, but you can read it as 50-50 pain if on a failed override versus proportional to your percentage of the budget.
Yeah,
And
I
if you
agree.
if you feel like you need to write it out proportional to percentage of budget, then do that, but I think it's proportional.
Anything else?
It's super minor, but I would break that asterisk line from the bullet, so it's more clear I had the same issue I think John had earlier where you saw the asterisk and couldn't find what it was referring to until,
Yeah.
easier, more clear there.
Yeah, good. And this should go on our website, on our webpage.
Yeah, sure. Okay, I will send it off. Okay, next topic, fire station building committee.
Okay, so we have town meeting next week. And that is what it is, nothing's changed with that. And I will probably be expanding on the recommendation a little bit, but I will run it by everyone before, we're having a meeting before town meeting, right? So
Yeah.
I'll run it by everyone then to make sure you guys are all good with what I'm saying, just to kind of expand a little bit on so that's town meeting stuff. We are currently looking at 4 sites. We have 72 Stowe Road, because we have to continue on as if we're gonna actually get zoning, right? At some point, we need zoning, so we have to build a fire station. We have got the 4 sites. We have 72 Stowe Road. We have 700/832 Mass Ave. We have 1300 Mass Ave, and we have the original site. The original site is still on the list, but is somewhat of a back seat because it is really truly, when you look at it, we spend a lot of money and we don't get nearly as much programming out of it. The other 72 Stowe Road currently is the least expensive option, but if you take that building, we can take that building, basically pick it up and overlay it onto 1300 Mass Ave, and we can take that building and overlay it onto 700 and 832. At that location, we'd have to be buying 2 separate pieces of land. We'd also need to be negotiating. There's people living in one of the properties, so we'd have to negotiate. So there's a lot of ifs up, but you still get the programming on those 3 pieces, 72 and the other 2 Mass Ave. You can get the building with some minor changes and tweaks, but you still can get the programming, even though it might be a little more expensive to be on Mass Ave.
Single story building?
Well, right now it is a 2-story building for sleeping quarters upstairs, but if we can get it to be a 1-story, which might be difficult at one of the Mass Ave locations, I think that is one of the ways we're looking at saving money, right? Because elevators, stairs, mechanics, all of that, I mean, you can save a significant amount of money if you don't need to put an elevator in. And so on those 3 properties, we think we can get a 1-story on all 3. We know we can get a 1-story on 72. We know we can get a 1-story on 1300. And I believe, but we haven't looked at it like that, we could do a 1-story on 700, 832. We cannot get a 1-story on 502. And 502 ends up being 2.5 stories. So on the first floor, in order to get to the beige, you have to go down 7 feet. And then go back up 7 feet to the first floor, and then you go up full floor to the sleeping quarters. So that ends up being even a bigger thing. So we're looking at that and hoping to come back in December. And in December, based on the zoning and what can be negotiated on the properties, right? And that's the other thing is with the zoning, it just offers flexibility. And any of us in business knows that as long as you have more flexibility, negotiating with anybody is a lot easier. When you take away if you take away a certain parcel, all of a sudden, people are like, well, you only got 2 options left. You got A and B, and, I maybe not, all of a sudden. So there's the negotiation factor on that. But in any event, I'm not going to sell whether or not how you should vote on the zoning. But once the zoning is settled, the hope is to go back, if it's settled with a vote as presented in the warrant, probably go back with 72 Stowe Road and 1 Mass Ave property if we can negotiate it. If it's not, we will probably just pick one, pick the best of the Mass Ave properties and go back with that in December. And the goal in December, when we talked about it, I don't know what this is going to do, is to put up a piece of land to buy and get design money. So we would go, it would be a debt exclusion for the property for purchase and design money, because we really need to know we have the property. We could purchase the property and start design on it. Those both would be a debt exclusion, and there would be a ballot question within 45 days. There'd have to be an election.
I have a question for you.
Yes.
You had me at 72 Stowe Road is still the cheapest option.
Yeah.
How have the public forums been going? Like, what is public opinion on
That's the hard part.
everything that you've just discussed?
So
all
that's
both
the
sides?
hard part, right? We don't get as many people at public forums as we'd like. There's definitely an entrenched group that says absolutely not in, Stowe Road, no way. We don't want it there. It's in a
Okay.
neighborhood that's primarily a lot of the neighbors.
And that group is open to other locations?
Yes,
Fire station
they just
besides
don't
the
want it,
current
they
one?
just don't want it in
Just
the
not
neighborhood.
that particular one?
Right. But this is what we hear. We don't want it at 72 Stowe Road. We don't want it here, but we want it to be as cheap as possible. So that's why we have question 3.
Okay.
Because we really need people to answer that question. Because legitimately, if that question is, the majority of the meeting says, we don't care, we don't want it at Stowe Road, and we want it to be $6 million more, up to $6 million more, then just let's do it. Like, I don't think any of us are tied to anything.
Just get it done.
But we
We
can't,
just
like.
need one.
Right,
Yeah.
and we can't, it's hard, because if you know it's gonna cost $6 million more in another location, and it fails because it's too expensive, but we don't put 72 forward, because then you have this group, and how big are they are, and how big the reach is, and that fails because you don't want it in your neighborhood, we're at a loss.
Back when
And
we
those are
started,
only
like 3 years ago.
And then we don't have a fire
13
station.
years ago.
Yeah.
And it's
Okay.
$1.5 million a year. So that's where we're sort of at right now. We continue to look. We have a meeting this week, and we're gonna look at those properties. We continue to talk to the owners of those properties to try to line something up. A lot of it at this point is just based on what happens in October. We need to have zoning. So both cannot, the other thing is there's going to be a motion on the floor to change what's in the warrant from all yeses in any zone to no in ag res. So if the motion passes and then that change passes on the warrant, Article 1, that eliminates 72 Stowe Road. And that we know is coming forward. We know that motion will come forward. If the motion fails, then we can only hope that we can still pass the article with 2/3. So I am actually to the point where I'm like, we just need zoning, because we have to be able to build this. But we also need we need the town behind us on this as well. So we're looking light engineering work on the other 2 locations. So one thing we do know is at the 700, 832, which is kind of the only reason we're hesitating, is we definitely need a light on both sides going east and west
Like a
on
stoplight?
111.
Or,
Yeah, it would be,
is that the
it
one
would be
with
an
the
act.
sightline problems?
Yes,
too?
it has sightline problems. It would be a, emergency activated light. The problem is, even with that light, there's a real concern about the sightline coming from the chief, and from the previous 4 chiefs. It is a really, even with that second piece of property, the sightline there, and if you just drive it, you know that. So there's a little hesitation there, but we're working to try to mitigate that. Certainly a stoplight would mitigate it, so anyway, more to come. We are having a meeting before town meeting. Can we possibly make that meeting at like 5:50? So then we make the fire station, because Priya and I,
You mean on the 14th?
yeah,
Okay.
the pre-town meeting, could we do it
I can,
slightly before 6 o'clock?
We what? No, yeah.
On
instead
the
of 6
14th?
o'clock?
Yeah.
5:50?
Okay,
What's 5:50, is that what you said?
5:50.
For us,
And the
5:50,
time meeting
Yeah.
starts at what time? 7?
first town.
7.
With
Yeah.
FinCom.
So if we
Yes.
did
Yeah, we
that,
did
that
it.
would be great, because then I can do this meeting.
Just the first night.
Yeah, just the first night, so we can vote, well, we'll probably want to, I would think that we would want to, as I get more information, we would want to vote on the motion that we think is going to be amended, once we know, we're pretty sure that's going to be done, we'd want to vote a recommendation on that. So we're not sitting in town meeting whispering at the table, do we recommend or not recommend this motion if we know it's happening? And then if anything else comes up.
And this is at the Regency this
And it's
time,
up at
correct?
the Regency, correct?
Do I need to post a quorum for that?
You need to post a meeting for that.
I need to post a meeting for that,
The
yeah.
agenda with a meeting, and it would just say, possible vote, articles,
Yeah,
something to that effect.
okay.
Okay.
It'll be, and just so, Regency room TBD, right?
Yeah, Kelly is trying to get us all rooms. I
Yeah.
mean, like we said this at BLF, we've done meetings at the Regency where we've done meetings at our table,
Yeah.
like in the front of the room, because we couldn't get a room at the Regency, but there's a lot of spaces we can
Yeah,
tuck into.
yeah, okay.
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 Thanks, Maria.
Organisation, we talked about the tri-board meeting, I think that's done to death. Special town meeting, I think we've nothing to say at the moment about that, I don't think, in terms of deadlines. I mean, if we're going to vote on those topics November the, whatever it is, that meeting then.
Yeah, so we have a meeting on, we have town meeting, and then we don't have another meeting until the 1st of November. So on November 4th, we are gonna have to vote on what's going to the December meeting. So that's kind of the update I gave you tonight. And I think a big part of that meeting just needs to be talking about what's on that warrant, because we have to look at it and vote it that night.
Yeah. So this is the calendar. So
Yeah.
so
So the 4th is when we have to vote it, because on the 8th or the 7th, November, on the
yeah, the
7th,
they go to print, right?
it goes to print. So we
Yeah.
have to vote it on the 4th and get recommendations
Yeah.
in to Kelly. And it's, all the recommendations are me, aren't I lucky? And you have 2, the Board of Assessors, and changing the last 2 articles.
And what's going on?
Oh, no, wait, I'm sorry.
You're
It's for
talking
December.
about full town
December,
meeting.
yeah. Those are all me. Okay.
What's going in December's special town meeting?
It's going to be design money
For
and
the
the purchase of property.
Okay.
And I think that's it so far. I haven't heard anything from the select board adding
So
anything
it's
to
no
that.
longer tentative. I'll
Yeah.
delete that. Yeah.
And I will come to the meeting on the 4th with recommendations based on what the fire station building committee does
Yeah.
for the property addresses.
Yeah. So
And we'll thoroughly discuss that. We can ask Mary to come that night.
Yeah.
You tell me who you want here to talk to you guys about the whole thing. Either I can do it, or we can have Mary, who's the chair of the building committee. We could ask one of the select board. Mike will be here presumably, because you're going to
for
hear
special
it all.
special town meeting warrants.
Yes. For
Yeah, I
December.
guess it'd be Mary, right?
All right, so I'll ask Mary if she can
Yeah.
attend that night, even if it's via Zoom.
Yeah. And then we have the BLF on the following day, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that's the calendar as it stands right now. That's the updated calendar, which I'll send a version to you, Rajon, for posting on the website.
Okay.
Okay, committee and liaison reports.
I just have one. So, Community Preservation Committee, not like a super hot topic like the fire station, but Schoolhouse 2 windows not faring so well. So there's been some discussion about what can be done to support Schoolhouse number 2. So that'll be moving forward, I think.
Should be on a school budget, surely.
No.
Yeah. Careful.
Only if we're going to resurrect the
Careful.
schoolhouse as part of the school region.
It's part of the
It
reorganization
is privately
plan.
owned. Schoolhouse 2 is privately owned, though. It's not town
Yeah, so
property.
it's a little complicated. So they're
Yeah.
working through some of that complexity right
Yeah.
now, but it seems like there might be some funding from there, potentially other sources like the Boxborough Historical Society, etc. So that's just an upcoming spend.
Okay.
That
Yeah, I
all.
was wondering about that because, I know it's privately owned and then they wanted taxpayer CPC for the upkeep. So
Yes, so it's a
Doesn't
little
quite line up.
complicated.
But you can use CPC money on historical buildings.
You can.
even if it's not town owned.
You can. So there's other options. So TBD on if it's going to be through the town or other funding options.
Okay.
And what are the other projects?
There's a whole list. I can pull it up.
I know there's BRAP, because that's the affordable housing thing that's always on there.
Yeah, for CPC.
But there's a few other ones that we have to.
There's a few more coming up. The Conservation Trust Fund increase, the
Oh,
cemetery
an increase?
potential, ongoing discussion, the cemetery, and this one was interesting. For 2026, the roof for Town Hall.
Yep.
Yep.
Mhm.
Okay. So we've already previously discussed some new to me.
I think we pulled that from last year, because we said you should be able to do this through CPC funds.
That was the
Yep.
switch, right? Because we couldn't do the museum?
Yeah,
Is that what it
or
was?
something like that, or we just pulled it off
Something like
because
that.
it was, I think Mike said the roof is fine for another year, let's do CPC funds next year.
And the playground replacement,
What playground replacement?
Flora playground replacement, 310,000.
Didn't we just do that?
There
I'm looking
were,
at John, whose wife
no,
is
yes,
home.
yeah,
Flare
we
up in there.
added
That's pretty
a
old.
couple pieces of equipment at Flare, but the other half of Flare is still
It's pretty old. Yeah.
25-ish, I think. Like the main structure
Yeah.
is old.
So the roof, the
Yeah.
playground increase,
Mhm.
and the windows for schoolhouse number 2 are the incoming new items. The other ones are ongoing. So the cemetery, the trust fund, I believe has already been previously discussed. And the Boxborough rental assistance program.
Yep.
So those I believe we have already been aware of. Okay.
Interesting.
Yeah.
There's actually a lot going on.
Yes.
It's a piece
Yeah.
right now.
Yeah, so a couple community updates. So Sustainability Committee, if you hadn't seen it already at the transfer station, the swap shed is officially
Yeah.
open.
So what? Yeah.
And if you want to volunteer for a 2-hour shift, let Kate Davies know. She doesn't want to live
Are they
there.
are they gonna keep it staffed all the time, or like eventually people just gonna be able to swap stuff?
I think the plan is for now try and staff it as much as possible.
Interesting.
But of course, I was talking to Kate about this because I stopped by on Saturday, and I'm like, so what's the plan, for January when it's 0, when you can get here all day long?
Yeah.
So they may only have it open like just for the fall and then reopen in the spring. Because I think lining volunteers up for that, but it's also, because I think part of that is just kind of educating everyone how the swap shed works right now. And you don't want it to just kind of be there and become kind of a dumpster because people dropping off stuff. Because the main purpose of the swap shed is really like, what would you bring? Like, this should be something you would want to bring home, right? You're not just going to stop by with whatever, it should be like,
somebody else's trash. Should
Yes.
be somebody else's
Right.
treasure. So.
But
we want them to standards.
yeah, it's like,
Exactly.
there's kind of a minimum level, like we don't need your old cathode ray 55-inch TV that goes in the giant electronics bin, but if you've got like an old school record player that still works, yeah, of course. So that thing, the waste reduction working group, we're likely restarting later this month to see where that goes. I had already given all the feedback we had a couple of FinComs ago, so that is being taken into strong consideration, and I'll bring a lot of those points up as well.
Actually, is it back to the swap shed? I cannot
Yes.
say that phrase.
Yeah.
Is that open on Wednesdays though?
They're trying to open it on Wednesdays, but it's been a lot harder to get staffing on the Wednesdays, just because it is midweek. But one of the things they're trying to do that because they know different parts of the Boxborough population like only goes Wednesday, even like
Yeah.
maybe 70-80% goes Saturday, but that other 20 only goes Wednesday. So they're trying to figure that out as well. And back to your point, Maria, like hopefully eventually it's they
And I
don't
don't-
need to staff it every day all
I
the
don't
time.
know if Acton's is staffed, but I mean, like a lot of transfer stations have swap sheds. I just don't know
Yeah.
that they're all staffed.
And I think, so I would
I
think
don't think so,
eventually we wouldn't need to, but it's probably just educating
Get
the
town
town
used to it.
how it works and what should and shouldn't go in there. And then I know the main question you had was the whole weatherization budget, like that 132K, why is it going to Blanchard?
Yeah.
So I asked that one, and those grants, when they were in Acton, they did all the schools. So it was somewhat kind of our turn to follow suit and follow the lead and do that as well. That was the answer I got. Now, whether we like it or not is a whole nother story, but
Thank you for getting the answer.
yes. But I was like, hey, why are we doing a non-town building when we have $132,000? And the answer I got was in Acton, when they had that money, they did the schools as well, so we just followed up.
My
and did
guess
ours.
is they also did all the town buildings first, but
Yeah.
hey, what do I know?
Yep.
Okay.
The RecCom had a question in terms of when is the budget due, like non-salary stuff. I didn't know exactly who to ask for that
That
question.
would be an
but
administration question.
RecCom, when is non-salary budget due, just for any requests they have?
November
budget.
7th?
No, when?
November 7th.
November 7th?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. But no other updates from RecCom. I mean, you covered that in the CPC as well, so. And then lastly, the Water Resources Committee, I haven't had a chance to catch up with Les just yet, and also their meetings are on Tuesdays at 7:30. It's every third Tuesday, so a lot of times it conflicts with us. But right now they're working to finalize the water resource report from Weston and Sampson. It was essentially pretty favorable that Boxborough is self-sustaining, but it's also covering, we're all on septic, we all have private water. They just had the big project over on, why am I blanking on it?
Swanson.
Thank you, Swanson there. So is that something we need to do for the rest of Boxborough? Maybe. But so I'll be trying to catch up with Les before their next meeting.
Can you, somebody said on the planning board meeting last night
Yeah.
that the water project's been delayed a year.
Okay.
So now I know that they're bringing water in, but then I had a resident tell me that they can't drink the water. So it's good for the hydrants, but it's not drinkable water yet. So could you just, maybe when you're talking to Les, just ask him that question.
Sure.
Thank you. I asked my
Okay.
husband, who's a liaison, and I didn't get an answer that was satisfactory. So you can get it directly from Les. I
Sure.
gotta kind of like, what are you talking about? There's water.
Yeah, like
so-
potable versus not potable. Like you built
Yeah.
a whole like water pipeline down there.
Yeah,
Like,
so
gotta
it
drink
may just be, he said something about it has to go there and they need to clean it and then send it back, and I don't
Yeah.
know. It's better
Okay.
to ask the source directly.
Sure. But otherwise, yeah, that's it.
Okay. Joe, anything from you?
Yeah, I did get a chance to catch up with Les regarding the Affordable Housing Trust. So I met with Les and Al Murphy, the chair of the Housing Board. It was sort of an informal chat over coffee, meet and greet. So I fielded some general concern, frustration, but don't really have like something to report. But just in general, they mentioned this instance, or just a general concern about being able to audit or monitor the paper trail of their funds once they leave their own ledger. So there was an example, I don't want to mince words or numbers, but there was a specific amount of funds that were appropriated to a certain place. And when they later were reviewing with the town different ledgers, they couldn't find that exact number. So basically, they didn't really have a concern that it was misappropriated or went to the wrong place, but they weren't sure what other line item it got rolled into, or they were just kind of concerned with the best practices for how to really review what's happening to their money once it leaves their own ledger. So once we have a real meeting, I'll kind of try to get some more details on that to bring back, sort of something maybe I can discuss with FinCom and or Honghua, but general concern there. And the only other big thing with that meeting was just the big item of 72 Stowe Road. So obviously, if that parcel is purchased for the fire station, those funds go right into the Affordable Housing Trust. It's a big deal. So not only is it $6,000 to build elsewhere, but just a reminder, if we do build at 72 Stowe Road, it really benefits the ability to bring affordable housing to the town. So that's all there. No other reports for this week.
Okay, thanks, Joe. John?
Really, the only thing I have right now is that as we speak, the consultant is presenting the options. I think you guys have probably heard through the grapevine about what we could do with the school system in terms of making it more efficient.
Okay.
There's a deck that's been posted. It's a very consultant-y deck, but in it are, on page 16, are the 8 really proposed options, actually 7 really. One is do nothing, and the other extreme is combine with another school district. So I assume we're not going to do either one of those.
Add a third school district?
Or
you mean?
combine
Yeah.
with another one. Expand the region, basically, is the phrasing, I think. So yeah, they're proposing cutting back the number of physical plants, schools, it's probably a better way of saying it. And with each one of these proposals, they do give you a kind of potential cost impact, not numbers, but kind of on a sliding scale,
Yeah.
which is kind of what I would assume what they have to do at this point.
Yeah.
So there are a few options that are far more aggressive than others that are, naturally, I think we would all gravitate towards like, yeah, do that and that and that. I think it'll be interesting to see how it all.
So where's that slide deck? Did it get sent out to all of us?
Oh, yeah, I didn't get that either.
No, it wasn't sent out. It's posted.
Oh, part of the agenda?
Part of their agenda, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's, at the beginning of it, it's very consultant ease, and I have a very low level of patience when it comes to that type of jargon, but I can understand why they're trying to do it. Once you get beyond that, you see the 9 options, and then they kind of go through each one. Not terrible detail, but where they are. So where they are now is basically they're going to start socializing these options and getting feedback, then iterating, and then coming to the final proposals for, I think their timeline is end of year, basically.
It sounds somewhat promising.
Yeah.
So they're doing this, and then these focus groups we're having, is that to discuss those?
I'm assuming
I
it's
mean,
to
so
get,
yeah, okay, so it's to
There's-
get input on those, because they're also
Exactly.
doing a huge gathering, well, a bigger one at the Blanchard Gym on the 27th of October, and that's open to the public from 6:30 to 8, so.
yeah, that might
So
be
it's
part
to
of
get information, okay,
I would assume that's, I mean, any number of these are gonna require quite a bit of socialization. to
and
get-
there's a lot of chatter on
Yeah.
social media about
Yeah.
this.
Yeah, especially, shifting from 4 buildings to 3 and, moving the grades around, changing the organization of the grades. And so, yeah, but it's kind of what they, at a very high
That's them
level.
to do, so that's
Exactly,
good, right?
Exactly. So the question is, how aggressive will the school committee be?
Well, you know what, maybe that's what part of the conversation needs to be on the 22nd.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I do have one update from the planning board. The Campanelli Beaverbrook campus master plan has been continued yet again. They're coming back sometime early November to try to come up with conditions. And Campanelli's really pushing to close this because they have a developer who'd like to come in and start developing. The sooner that happens, the sooner we start seeing some tax revenue out of that. And then 975 Mass Ave, they were debating trees last night when I finally gave up and went to bed because it was like 10:15 or something, and they were debating counting the size of the trees that had nothing to do, that weren't going to be taken down, but for some historical thing, and I'm like, I'm out. So I try to keep you guys updated. That's the best I can do there.
What is 975 Mass Ave?
It's, where DPW is,
Yeah.
and then next to DPW, up on the hill, there's like a metal building with bays, and it's the person who I believe owns that property, owns the property next to it and would like to develop something similar, which is
Okay.
like contractor bays kind of thing.
Okay.
And there is one definition change to their article for MBTA, but it's a minor change that when they sent the bylaw, the way it read, to the state sent it back and said, you need to change this within the definition of multifamily homes or you won't be in compliance. So it's minor. It's just a definition that makes the state happy, that doesn't really make any
Yeah.
substantial change. Did you talk to Alec about getting on their distribution list for their
Yeah,
projects?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
I don't think there's been any, I don't know that there's
Yeah.
been anything new. I just want to make
I
sure.
thought something came. I saw something come, didn't it? To all of us?
No,
Some planning
pictures.
thing came. I thought what was the result of that?
That was, I saw stuff from Alec, but not specifically on a new site plan review
Okay.
thing.
Okay. Okay.
For the Campanelli project, what's the hang up over there? In terms of like moving forward and developing and doing more stuff?
Well,
I mean, is there
last
anything
night,
in
we were
particular?
debating, there's members of the planning board that only want to give a 10-year development permit. Campanelli wants 20 years, because they want, it's a number of buildings they want to develop out. There's a couple of members that only want to do 10 years. The compromise after a significant amount of time was, I think, and I don't know if Campanelli accepted it or not, because I was getting out of my car and I was listening to it on my phone.
Yeah.
I lost it. I don't know if they agreed, but the compromise they were going for is a 15-year development window with a 3-year extension, 2 3-year extensions, because they own the property, they get a developer to come in, it's built to suit, and they say they may need that to build out the project.
Okay.
But then it's everything from the size of trees to the turtle crossings to this. Are we going to do a conservation restriction? Are we going to do
Okay.
what exactly is passive recreation? It was just really long, very tedious.
Into the
I give
minutiae of
people who are on the
everything.
planning board credit. I could never do that committee.
Mhm.
It's just every detail of everything.
Mhm. Okay.
So hopefully they're going to close it in November.
Good.
So the planning board says 10 years because they're trying to motivate speed of
I
development.
think they don't, I'm not sure. I think they said 10 years because they just felt 20 years was too far out in the future.
But the limit is you have to act and develop before this time.
Yes,
Okay.
so that's what happened. When Cisco came, right, they had like a 25-year window to develop. That's expired. That's why Campanelli, they bought the property and now they're back trying to get special permits to basically develop the property the way Cisco had, but their development rights expired. So it's the same type of situation. It's a lot. Like I said, there's so much detail and tedious detail that goes into a 5-inch tree or a 10-inch tree or like whatever. Like, I don't care. take a picture of the tree and let's move on. Like,
Yeah,
you know,
let's
so
develop some
that's why
stuff.
other people are doing planning boards. So.
Yep, I gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Maria.
Okay.
Okay. Personnel board is now on a Wednesday at 5:30. I mean, I think I'm officially the member for personnel board.
Excellent.
Yeah, I'm not going to go to a meeting. I'll go to some meetings.
She didn't let you escape out of that.
I wasn't sure if he was going to say, does somebody else want to do it now that it's Wednesday?
Unless anybody else wants to really step forward and do it. I mean, I don't know.
Excellent. I'm sure you'd be a great personnel board member.
I think I think they like to hear from us and get an update from us basically once in a while. So that's what I'll go and do that. Okay, that's all we have, I think. Okay, I send a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
So moved.
Okay. Did you
Seconded.
second?
Yeah.
Moved by Maria and seconded by John. Okay, meeting officially closed at.
No, you need to take a roll call vote.
Oh, I need to take a roll call vote.
Yes.
Joe.
Aye.
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 Neil and I.
Yep.
All right.
Yep. You and I. Okay, closed at 8:41. 8:40.
Excellent.
Good job.
All right. Look at us finishing before 9 o'clock.